Vladimir Putin and US envoy Steve Witkoff discussed the possibility of a peace deal for Ukraine during talks at the Kremlin. The UN calls for restraint from India and Pakistan as both sides make threats in the wake of Tuesday's attack in Indian-administered Kashmir. And the coffin of Pope Francis has been sealed in a private ceremony at St. Peter's Basilica before his funeral on Saturday morning.
Jeffrey Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre takes her own life at the age of 41. Her family says she was a warrior in the fight against sexual abuse and sex trafficking.
Over the next few hours, more than 200,000 mourners, heads of state and royals will gather in Vatican City for the funeral of Pope Francis.
I'm here at the Vatican, where some slept through the night on the square here, and thousands more are now arriving ahead of the Pope's funeral.
And this is the overview of the Vatican this morning. We'll bring you the latest developments ahead of a BBC special programme at 8:30.
Pope Francis is laid to rest after a funeral at the Vatican, drawing heads of state, royalty and an estimated 400,000 mourners from around the world. Before the funeral, President Trump and President Zelensky discussed the war in Ukraine. Later, Mr. Trump suggested Vladimir Putin may not want the war to end.
Iran's president orders an investigation into a huge explosion at the country's biggest container port. State media say at least 5 people are dead and more than 700 injured. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has ordered an investigation into a huge explosion at the country's biggest container port, which has killed 8 people and injured more than 700. Iranian state media say the blast at the country's southern coastal city of Bandar Abbas could be heard more than 50 kilometres away. In a separate development, Iran's foreign minister says there are still differences with the US after the third round of indirect talks over Tehran's nuclear programme concluded in Oman. I discussed all these developments with our special correspondent for BBC Persian, Kasra Naji.
Saturdays are the start of the week in Iran, so I suppose a lot of people were working at the port at the time. There was a huge explosion, and we know so far that some 700 people have been injured, and the figure had been going on all day, basically. At one point, the Iranian authorities were calling on people to donate blood to various hospitals in Bandar Abbas. The place, this port is situated in the north of the Strait of Hormuz, in the mouth of the Persian Gulf. Very strategic place, and the port is the biggest port in Iran, handling some 80–90% of Iran's imports and exports. So a huge place for Iran and Iran's economy. The latest is that the fire is not under control and is still expanding and still reaching. A lot of the containers in the port are catching fire and being set on fire. Basically, it's expanding and out of control still, some, 8 hours later.
OK, so we'll leave that there.